Hey, we have a really fun episode today. We got another guest on today. We'll be introducing her in here in just a second. But hi, welcome back to the Miles and Moms podcast. We are a podcast for moms chasing goals through all seasons of life. I am Shanna, one of your co-hosts.
I'm Olivia.
And then we have our guest,
Elizabeth!
Well, Elizabeth has actually already been on our episode, but she just ran Chicago and with a banger time, like insane. So we're so excited to like hop into that. But she also has had in my opinion, the hardest marathon build. And I think I'm not ready to get emotional so early in this episode, but I think that there's just going to be so much power in her sharing this story for all of our listeners to just show you that like you don't have to have the perfect build. No marathon build is going to be ideal, and that you can't like anticipate what's going to be thrown your way because we are recreational runners. Like we don't get paid for this. We have to deal with the life stressors, the hardships that come our way and keep pushing through. And it's been so inspiring to follow Elizabeth's journey with this last marathon build and just see how she's been able to pivot through really, truly, I believe one of the hardest things a mom has to ever go through. But we'll go into the rest of this. So we are a podcast where we're bringing you training tips, mom and expert interviews, and the kind of best friend banter that makes you feel like you're on a run with us. Whether it's your first 5K, your next marathon, or a stroller tempo, we got your miles and your sanity. Since we're building a new platform, we'd really appreciate it if you can rate, subscribe, and share our podcast with another fellow mama.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll just roll right into our everyday hero shout out. Today we have Kirsten Spencer. She is at marathon_maven on Instagram. And this is a direct quote from her. So she wrote in, "Hi, I'm Kirsten Spencer, mom of 3 plus a very energetic dog. I got back into running 2 years after taking a long break to raise my family. It was time to focus on my health, both mental and physical, and to show my kids that they can set hard goals and achieve them. In the fall of 2023, I ran my first postpartum half marathon in just over 2 hours, and I completely fell in love with running all over again. Since then, it's become so much more than a healthy outlet. Running has connected me with incredible athletes, brought me new friendships, and given me a sense of purpose beyond motherhood. Some of my favorite moments are when my kids are at the finish line cheering, asking me about my long runs, or joining me in the gym. I want them to see that with dedication and consistency, they can always do hard things and that the effort is always worth it. After 12 half marathons, I recently completed my first full marathon in St. George, finishing in 3:39, which still feels surreal. What I'm most proud of isn't just the time, but how strong I felt in those final 6 miles. I truly left it all on the course. I'm so grateful for my family, friends, and the entire running community that's welcomed me with open arms. Running has enriched my life in so many ways, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes me next." Wow, that was also beautifully written.
I know.
It goes right there with her.
Like grammar and all. I was like, wow.
Oh.
I need to have her start writing all of our stuff for us.
I know.
No, Kirsten has been such an inspiration to watch her. I know that she was like doubting herself going into this first marathon build, and just seeing her be able to cross that finish line. I mean, you got to watch it, Olivia, live. And wow, like there's nothing like it. It's like seeing people cross a goal that they never thought that they could do, and then realize like, wait, if I can do that, I could probably do it again. And it's just been so fun to see like her desire and her dreams just grow stronger and stronger, especially, being a mom to kids too, little kids, and she's just making it happen. So
it's so true. I think so much of it too that's so impressive is that when you start, like, your algorithm on Instagram starts to be curated to like all runner stuff, you're going to see the really, really high highs, and you're going to see these low lows where people are sharing, when they bonk in a race. And she talks about those last 6 miles and how it's out there that it can just feel so bad. Like, because bonking really, it'll ruin a race much faster for you than knowing that you fell off your goal just by like not running the pace. And it's that same idea of like when you tell people you're pregnant and then they immediately share, Well, I almost bled out, you know, they had an emergency C-section, and it was an 18-hour-long surgery, and they ripped my heart
Yes.
open too, and it was crazy, and you're like, "Oh, I'm literally pregnant with my first, why would you do that?" And I've noticed that it's that same idea that happens when people tell you about the marathon, and they're like, "Well, I ran one once and I ended up in the hospital." You know, all of my femurs were broken, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, how did that happen?" So I'm just so glad that, like, people are still taking that initial step no matter how scary it is, because I remember when she was talking about signing up for it, and it just seemed so scary, and just to get to the finish line, no matter what the time is incredible, but then to know that you also finished strong and that's your normal, that's awesome. That's how it should be, you know?
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, I love that you highlighted that because I think that is the standard that we hear. Oh, your first marathon, get ready because after mile 20, it's all gonna go downhill. And I just think it's like it's important to recognize like she ran 12 half marathons. Like
Mhm,
she had multiple seasons where she was training. She went from base training to half marathon training, base training, and she did that over and over and over again. And then she approached the marathon. So I think that's why she had such a positive experience through it all
mhm,
because she was so prepared to go into that distance. And I think that's just like a humbling reminder because I think on Instagram we do see like so many influencers and so many people just like, I'm gonna go run a marathon next week and I'm a new runner. And it's like, it's great and they do it and all
mhm.
that jazz, but I think a lot of the negative experience come from that, the lack of allowing your body to, like, truly prepare for the distance and respect the distance because it is a beast,
It
like,
is, it
it's
is,
26.2 miles.
yeah, and it's become, like, normalized, which
Yeah,
is good in a it's good for inclusivity purposes, but it does take away sometimes, I think, from how special and spectacular it really is, because for so long, I think it was just you know, like a bucket list item that
yeah,
people were doing, and the distance should be respected, um, just for so many different reasons, but, mostly also just because it keeps the fun, like, it makes it stay fun, so, yeah, um, I'm like I'm in the zone right now where I'm like, I respect the distance and, like, I'm having the hardest time, like, also not going out and running right now because 'cause I'm, like, hungry for more and I wanna go do it again, but I'm like, "You can't just go run a marathon every 6 weeks. That's not normal. Go do it."
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the perfect segue into, like, Elizabeth, how are you feeling? You just came off the Chicago build, you finished your race, what, like, 4, 5 days ago? Has it only been 4 or 5 days?
Yeah.
Like,
I
how
know.
are you feeling?
Yeah.
Overall, I'm feeling great. Like, I mean, we'll get into this, but I just felt so ridiculously strong through that marathon. Hands down, I would separate this marathon from all the other ones. I just felt so strong. Those last like 6 miles, I was just dreading, like you always do, right?
Mhm.
But I just felt like I increased my mileage this build and I kind of curated a strength routine and regimen with a couple of my friends here in my hometown. They're really into endurance sports and strength training, and so we kind of sat down and they came up with this regimented like strength routine for me that incorporated heavy strength, which I've really never done, and medium strength. And I kind of like built with my strength up until about like a month and a half, um well, I'd say 2 months before, and where I kind of plateaued and then I tapered off as I was building to peak. And I felt those two things with the increased mileage and my strength, my legs were able to carry me through.
Mhm.
So surprisingly, I felt fantastic. I finished the marathon, and usually I'm like crippled, like literally can't do anything, like
So
send me
true.
to bed, like my
Yeah.
mom had even, so I went with my mom and her best friend from college. And my mom had like told my mom, like her friend, like, you got to count Elizabeth out after the marathon. She's usually just like, locked in her room, just recovering, food, TV, maybe a
Oh my
bath.
god.
But like I wasn't, like I was walking all around after I hung out with some friends for a few hours after I went showered, and then we were back out on the town.
That's so
And
awesome.
I spent the last 2 days in Chicago, and I looked at my watch to see how many miles I had walked.
Mhm.
And I walked about like 8 to 9 miles every day.
Wow.
Wow.
So, yes, like,
Oh.
so that's any idea of like how good I felt. And I
Yeah.
do too think, like, going back to the woman you were just talking about, like building on top,
Yeah.
like these builds on top of one another, your body adapts and learns how to recover quicker.
Mhm.
And that brings you to become a better marathoner, right? Like when you're
Totally.
able to show up day in and day out, like you're recovering faster so you can hit those speed workouts and long runs better. And I think it was just so eye-opening to me. So, long story short, I feel great.
I
Yeah.
feel great. I love that so much. I think I mean, this was your 4th marathon or 5th? Your
This
4th.
was, hold on, one, two, hold on. This was my fourth.
Your 4th, yeah.
Fourth
So, I
marathon.
mean, that says a lot. Like, you're still like I'm on that same page. I've only done 3,
Yes.
and we're kind of still like considered like amateurs to the distance. But the fact that you felt so good, just it speaks volumes of your training regimen. Like, it really was tailored to put you up for the best success possible, not only
Mhm.
just for your race, but for your recovery post race. Like,
Yes.
I think that's another thing people don't recognize when they're doing the strength. Like, that's the one thing I notice when I slip on my strength training. My
Yep.
form mechanic is different. My body carries different. It recovers different. Like, it is a lot more sore after workouts because those muscles that you use, which you use a lot of muscles in your running form mechanic. And when that starts slipping and that's like weak, your recovery becomes harder. Like, I notice I need 2 to 3 days to recover after a workout versus like 1 to 2.
Mhm.
And so I think it speaks so much volumes of like how much tentative detail you put into your build. And I love it. Like, I can't wait to dive into it because I think it's going to be very like relatable because your mileage wasn't insane from what I was able to witness. It was very realistic for your life, your current life situation. Um, but that's really cool. I love that you're like, I feel great. You can hear in your voice,
Good.
you're like, I'm already Googling my
Yeah.
next marathon.
No, seriously, I was just off the phone, like Francesca and I, because
That's
she's
so
trying to
awesome.
figure out which one test. Like afterwards, I was like, "Well, what marathon did you say you're
Yeah.
doing?" Like I'm just like, I want more.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So
How are
true.
you feeling, Olivia? You're on that side of recovery too. You finished Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, my Google search history right now is like marathons near me. Um,
Love it.
it's like I think it would have been like that if I had a really bad race. I would have wanted
Yeah.
to like make up for it and be like coming off of a marathon when you're like on such a high. And um the one thing after doing something like Chicago is that like for you, if you're signed up for Boston, you're signed up for Boston, right, Elizabeth? Like, if you're gonna go do that, you'll experience something like that again. Like, for me, I'm not sure when the next time I'll experience a race of that level again, just because I know that, like, going and doing these majors is such an impact on my family, and so I knew that this would be a really big deal, and we probably won't do it in 2026 again. So I'm like, part of me is thinking, like, do I just wait it out and wait for one to like closer to the end of the year or something like that? But body wise, I feel good. Like, I'm just tired. I'm honestly just still tired. Like, I just feel weak, and I'm like, how are these the same legs that just ran
Well,
so
how
far?
was your massage?
Okay. I it was
How was
just
your massage?
good about it
Yeah,
yesterday. So like
Oh,
okay, so
that's
the
so
massage
funny.
itself was good. A hotel massage is always more expensive than if you just go and get a massage. So I was like, you got to make the best of this. But right from the get-go, I looked down at my feet, and my feet are not pretty because of just from the build, not from the actual race itself. So I looked down and I was like, wow, these are bad. And I had showered and everything, but I told her, I was like, listen, I just ran the marathon and my feet are fine and you're not going to hurt them, but they look like I just took a sledgehammer and was like, I should beat my feet up, you know? And she was like, oh, okay, well, if you don't want me to touch them, I was like, that's up to you if you don't want to touch them. And I was like, I'm totally fine. So then I'm laying face down and the pillow is really small. And I had dinner that night and I have my eyelashes on. And so I was like hovering over the pillow and she kept being like, you can relax. You can relax. And finally I was like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I cannot relax unless I move my face. And she was like, well, this is your massage. You can relax. And so then she like goes down to my hamstrings and she was like, you are so tense. You can relax. And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. If I relax anymore, I'm going to fart so bad. I had so much gas from that stupid
The
Imodium.
gels.
Yeah, the Imodium first, then the piling gels and electrolytes on
Yeah.
top of it. And I just started laughing. I was like, I've never just told a stranger that. But I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna do that to you. So this is the most relaxed I can possibly be. And the whole time I was just like, the first thing too, when I saw my husband, he was like, was that just so, I was like, I had to fart the whole time. So I'm not relaxed right now. And I continued to hold it until after dinner.
Oh my
It was,
gosh.
yeah, I sent my husband to go get a piece of pizza after dinner because I was like, I just need alone time, okay? Yeah.
You're like, I gotta release some tension.
Yeah. I was talking to someone earlier today about why Imodium can cause nausea. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't have nausea from it, but I do have other things like extreme gas. But it slows your digestive system. That's the whole reason that you are like not having the runs when you're on it. And so it's like you take enough until you stop. So anyway, so like for me, because I didn't actually like, I'm not actively having digestive problems. I just don't want to during the race. It's like it slows your digestion so much and it just creates like a gas bubble because you're just putting gels on top of it. And it's like one of those things that when I'm falling asleep, I'm like, I just told a stranger that that I was, that I have a massive fart that I just can't.
Flatulence.
Yeah, like sorry about my indigestion. I just felt bad because she was like, just relax. So anyway, that's my massage. It was great. I don't think I would do one again post race if I'm being honest. I don't know.
We missed you.
I know. I'm not gonna lie, like leaving and everything. I've never had like friends to hang out with after a race like that. Well,
Sad.
I know. But I was actually like when I first finished, I was a little bit of a disaster until like so at the time, I left the area right away because I wanted to go meet my coach and he couldn't get in because of his backpack and stuff. And so I had left that area kind of right away. I was a little bit of a mess. I was like very happy and crying. I'm very happy and then crying again. So I like, couldn't really fully get myself together until I had talked it out. So at the time I was like, I kind of just wanted to like go sit, take a bath, shower, and that kind of stuff anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then like 3 hours later, I was totally fine. So yeah.
Elizabeth, do you take Imodium when you race your marathons?
I don't.
No.
I don't really have GI issues when I run. I know like on Instagram I joke about it a lot. Maybe I wouldn't if I actually had issues. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've never taken Imodium. And I've never, knock on wood, like have had to stop in a race to use the bathroom. But I was just looking up Imodium, it actually antagonizes your mu receptors, which are like opioid like receptors in your GI tract. So it's almost like an opioid. And if you've ever had any of those kind of medicines after your babies, they can give you nausea. Now, I don't know like the true mechanism of action of like how it relates to like your central like nervous system, but it kind of makes sense. But I don't know.
So
it scares me. I don't know. It doesn't make me want to
doping my GI system.
Doping your GI system.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's crazy. I honestly wouldn't take it because on all my training runs and everything, I really am totally fine. But after Grandma's marathon, like the unexpected, it was like mile 17. I had to stop and go to the bathroom. I was like, I am not
Never again.
Yeah. I was like, just precautionary. If it wasn't an issue, I wouldn't even think about it. And I'd also never taken caffeine gels before like CIM and just caffeine in general, I'm usually totally fine with it and I'm totally fine on all my training runs, but just race day, I'm like, I'm not playing any games with this, just like I don't want the bathroom to even be an issue, like an option, like out of all the things I can control, that's the one thing. So yeah.
I feel
I
like
did feel like a lot of us had a pee at the start line.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. Like everyone I talked to, me including, I don't know if it was because the way the corrals were,
Mm.
but before I even went into my corral, I kind of stood out in the main area where the check bags were, and then you had to fill up your water bottles because they wouldn't let you bring liquid in. So they had a huge water station and then tons of porta potties. So like me, Tess, Gabby, Francesca, and you, like we
Mhm.
all waited in line. Like we waited in line, got back in the back,
Mhm.
waited in line, and then Olivia like left because she wanted to get into her crowd, which I thought was actually super wise. And so then I finally went into my crowd, waited in line again, and probably for like 25 minutes. And by the
Wow.
time I got back out, I'm like, well, I make a decision. Do I wait back in line or do
Oh
I
my
go
gosh.
ahead and get into position? Because, I had a goal in mind and I wanted to make sure I was in the right place to like give myself the most benefit that I could offer. And by the time I was running, I was like, I have to pee
Yeah,
really bad.
that was me too. Yeah.
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 Wow. Were you guys able to find like a good position in your corral? Like, was it pretty easy to kind of maneuver your way up, or is it pretty like sardine packed?
So, I mean, for my corral, I went in probably like 20 minutes before the start because with Boston, it was way different than Boston. Boston, you like everyone starts up at the hill and everyone walks down. You literally feel like a cow.
Wow.
Here they divide it, and so all the corrals kind of enter kind of horizontally, perpendicularly from the main start hub, if
Mhm.
that
Okay.
makes sense, and they're just
Yeah.
divided into different corrals. And so when you enter into the back of your corral, they have different time, what do you call
Within.
them, the
Yeah.
Pacers?
yes, pacers, sorry. And so you could kind of like decide which like group within your corral you wanted to go into, and it was very easily navigatable.
That's cool.
I didn't have any issues, but as it got closer and closer to the start, yes, everyone was up on top of everyone. So if you were waiting till the last minute, then I bet you had some issues. I don't know
Okay.
how was yours, because you were in a different corral than I was.
Yeah, I feel like mine was a lot less packed than any other one I've experienced. I tried to be in front of the pacer, and then I was just with, I mean, I was kind of hoping that there was going to be people I could chat with, but everybody was kind of in their zone and stuff, but it was not packed. Like we were not elbow to elbow. I really thought that I would be weaving because I mean, I remember when I started in Corral D last time, I I spent like 8 miles weaving,
Oh
beating
yeah,
out of
I
people.
mean I did too.
Did you?
So I think even
And
from corral A, because you were in A, right?
I
Or
was in
B. You were
B,
in B.
yeah.
And then I
That's
was in C. So
crazy.
just one behind you.
Yeah.
I weaved so much in this race. And that
Did
was the
you?
one
Wow.
thing.
Mm,
Like I ended up running 26.65 miles. The
okay.
most
Yeah.
I've ever run in a marathon. But I remember, and I was kind of rehashing it with my husband last night. I think it's because you have so many like hairpin turns
Mhm.
that, and like, you're weaving back and forth. It's not just like a general curve or anything. You're literally like
Yeah.
doing
Like
so
making
many right
sharp
angle
left.
turns, 90-degree turns,
Mhm.
that to get, because obviously when you're turning, you want to get on the inside, and then you're turning the other way, you want to go to the other side. And so, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
by the end of the race, you've
Yeah.
gone like how many times back and forth?
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the water stops and stuff too. I didn't worry a lot about the corners or anything like I did last time. I felt like I used to be so cautious not to like exhaust myself, but I knew that the distance itself, I was like, I have done this, I'm trained for how many on 20 milers, 18 milers and all that stuff. I was like, You'll be fine if you go a little bit over." Like the one thing I knew is I love distance. So I was like, that part doesn't matter. Just don't slip. That was a big one for me. It was like, don't trip on anything,
Yeah.
don't step in a pothole. Cause like for LA Marathon, we went under a bridge once and I stepped in a pothole. I just couldn't see it. It was dark. And so I was like, after that, I never want to do that again. And I just, it's the Midwest. Like there could be potholes. And
Yeah.
so it didn't happen, but it was just more like, I was very like aware of where I was stepping and things like that. But the corrals and everything I find super organized, and Yeah, I always am like trying to just like find someone to talk to so that I can get some of the nerves out. But they had, when we first started, the corrals had like they made like a mini track in there. So people were just running in circles. So there wasn't a ton of room to stand until they shut the corral. It was super weird. And I was like, I am not warming up. So I was like, I need to conserve every bit of energy. But yeah, so it's a very organized race for how many people are there, which is crazy. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The one thing I will say looking back is like with these big major races, I was on my feet
Yeah.
from 5:30
Mhm.
until I finished. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
think I might have sat down for like 5 seconds and then I was
Mhm.
like, what, I gotta get in my corral.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you think about it, 5:30, I didn't start till like 5 or 7:35, 7:40.
Yeah.
That's 2 hours you're on your
Mhm.
feet, so with smaller races you don't deal with that. Like you can get in bathroom lines, sit down, chill. I couldn't at all with this race.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's hard. That's a lot of hours already on your feet before you start.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, should we roll into Elizabeth's intro and then dive into some questions? We got some good questions, so I'm
Mhm.
excited. Okay, so this was written by obviously Elizabeth, our guest here. She said, I'm a runner, a mother of 6 who started running just over 2 years ago. Okay, you guys are going to be like dumbfounded just how fast she is just running for only 2 years.
It's like
So she
two and a half years to
Okay,
be
so two and a
Still.
half. Okay, we're gonna get technical. 2.5 years. I mean, that 6 months does add up. So she's been running for 2.5 years after baby number 6. So after she had all her babies, I grew up playing soccer, but deferred collegiate sports after experiencing burnout and the desire to pursue medicine. I'm a board certified pediatrician, currently working full time as a nursery hospitalist at our local community hospital. I'm married to my husband, who I met the first day of medical school. We've been married for over 15 years, and we have 6 children who we homeschool. We live on 30 acres where we spend a lot of our time outside pursuing a slower paced lifestyle while enjoying the beauty of God's creation. We have a garden, chickens, a milk cow, and various other animals. My running journey started as a means to battle postpartum depression and anxiety, but I found so much more in running than just a means to cope. It has become a place of discipline, goal setting, and showing up for myself. I get to show my kids what it means to set big, scary goals and pursue them through difficulty and setbacks. My son was recently diagnosed with a brain tumor and underwent urgent brain surgery 4 months ago. I witnessed true perseverance and what it means to trust and hope. Through this journey, my kids continue to motivate me to become a better friend, mother, and wife. I hope I can share my journey with others as a means to provide hope, faith, and love for this life. So
Mm.
crazy. I'm
So many
4
parts.
months ago. Yeah, it's just crazy.
How's your son
Yeah.
doing now?
He's fantastic. Like,
That's good.
he's amazing. He's my light. Like, he really got me through. I mean, yes, it was literally the hardest marathon build ever because his diagnosis came. I mean, we knew about his tumor, but it was a question on whether or not he needed surgery. We had just found it, I want to say in December. And so they just were like, we need to get repeat scans and we need to see if it's growing, if it's not, if it's regressed. And so obviously we just were so hopeful that it was going to go away. And so he had repeat scans at the end of May. They saw that it had grown and grown pretty significantly. So they were like, we need to get this out now. If it grows anymore, he's going to start showing signs. And so a week later, he was in the OR, right? And this all happened literally like week 1 of my marathon build.
Mm.
But he's amazing. He was walking the next day, discharged from the hospital like 2.5 days later, and was just completed a Spartan race like I want to
So-
say 8 weeks after his brain surgery.
It's
You
so
know?
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
unbelievable. That's
Yeah. So.
crazy. I mean,
Mhm.
that's unbelievable, especially just so young to have to go through something so big, but in a way, like, well, with children, they're so innocent, and as a mom, what's so hard about it is they are so innocent, and you just want to shield them from everything. But then at the same time, for them, it's so good because they don't know anything else but to go and continue to go have fun because inherently they want to go and have fun.
So true.
How did you guys know that he had something going on? Like, was there any red flags or anything like going on in his life beforehand? Or
Yeah, so I don't share this a lot, but
yeah,
I will because I think I'm going to pursue joining the organization to support him and what he has for future world majors and run for charity.
that's
But
awesome.
he has a neurocutaneous disorder that he was born with. 50% of the world's of this genetic condition, it's either inherited. So either one of your parents have it and you have a 50% chance of getting it. The other 50% of people, it's a spontaneous mutation. And that's what his was, because neither my husband and I have this genetic condition, and it predisposes him to tumors. So
Wow.
it's something called neurofibromatosis type 1 or NF1. And it's, I was actually in residency at the time. My husband was in the military in the Navy, 5.5 hours away, as I was living at home, going through residency. And if you know anything about residency, you work 65 to 80 hours a week. I just had
Crazy.
him. He was about 2 months old, and I started noticing his birthmarks. And as a pediatrician, that's like a classic board question. Like, what do you want, diagnose with in a child with, blah, 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 cafe au laits and, all this. And so they started showing up, and I just knew. And so I went to my pediatrician and was like, I think this is what my son has. They blew me off. And
Wow.
so I actually went to the head pediatrician that was of the group, who was actually my pediatrician as a kid. So she did not, she took me seriously. She's like, absolutely, let's get you in to see genetics. So at like around 2.5 months of age, I went to see the pediatric geneticist. We sent testing, and it was confirmed that he had this, and my world was shattered.
Yeah.
My husband wasn't there, and I just felt like it was, I struggled so much, like, anyways. And so, I was questioning whether or not I was going to finish residency, but of course it's like, I've come this far to come this far. The same things that I say at my like 26 in the marathon, and
Yeah.
I graduated from residency, finally moved to be with my husband, and we've just been like making sure that he is growing and developing appropriately. He is at risk for a lot of things, but he's had a wonderful childhood. But they do recommend getting MRIs on certain types of people and kids. And so he had an MRI back when he was 9 months of age. He had another one when he was 3. And then I think another one when he was 6. And there was a
Wow.
spot in his brain behind his eye that they thought, oh, well, he might have what they call an optic glioma. And 20% of all NF patients have this. So it wasn't, and they're considered benign in this patient population. So it was something that we were monitoring. Well, his last one, when he was 6 years old, it actually looked like it went away. So we were like, praise the Lord, like, we're good. And the neuroradiologist or neuro-oncologist that we were seeing at the time was like, honestly, I don't even know if you need to see to like get another MRI, because at the time he was having to get sedated. And that's a whole different ball game. So we moved here to Virginia. That was all back in Oregon and back in Florida. And so I was just like, I just really need to get him into a specialist. So our closest specialist is here in Vanderbilt. And so we decided to pursue just, routine follow up, like in a year's time, just to meet, just to make sure we're doing everything, that all of, growth is fine, everything. Well, he was like, I really think, he had this area in his brain. Like, I think we should probably just repeat an MRI. Like, let's just do it. So I was like on the fence, because I'm like, really, statistically speaking, we shouldn't even know he has this, because the
Yeah.
recommendations are that they don't even do routine MRIs.
Yeah.
But whatever. And so it was like an incidental finding. So we decided
Crazy.
to repeat imaging back. I think I want to say it was like back in December. Everything looked good up here. But then back in the back of his brain at the splenium, the corpus callosum was a big tumor. Out of
Wow.
nowhere, never had been seen. And so it was like, you know, very earth shattering, and this was actually during my
Yeah.
Boston build. And so I was just like, what in the world? And so usually the tumors in these patients are benign. So I just was hoping that, all right, it's just gonna, it is what it is. Like, it's not going to grow. And so we repeated them at the end of May, and it had grown. So we made the decision to go ahead and get it removed. So
That's crazy. I mean, good
yeah.
for you guys for being on top of that and catching
Yes.
that
Yeah.
sooner rather than later
Mhm.
before it would have been a lot more detrimental
Right.
on him.
So
Like,
he had no irreversible
so
brain
crazy.
damage because we were on top of it. And the location of where his tumor was actually right in front of the two hemispheres. So they actually went down the falx, like cerebri, like, and there's like where the two hemispheres, you can kind of peel them out and you go, and the tumor's right there. So
Wow.
the neurosurgeon was like, the tumor was right there. I did not have to traverse through any brain matter, any
Ugh,
brain tissue. So he literally has no side effects, none. Like,
wow.
That's
so
great.
I mean, truly, like, God was with him, and like,
Yeah,
and it was like the best case scenario in a very bad scenario,
Yeah.
if that
absolutely.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume brain surgery in any degree is terrifying because so much
Mhm.
could happen, even nicking something.
Yeah,
Like, it's
Yeah.
just it could change your whole life upside down. It's
definitely.
crazy. It's just so
Yeah.
crazy.
That's terrifying, but I'm so glad that he's doing so well and that he's able to go and do things like a Spartan. How old is he?
Yes. He's 11.
Okay, that's so
That's
great.
crazy. He's sorry.
That's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
terrifying though as a mom, but being
Yeah.
tough for them is so hard. It just is. But
Yeah, and just like being thrown into this situation, like, yeah, I mean, I look back and I'm like, how did I?
yeah,
It seems literally impossible, but it's like, the only way is through it,
yeah, yeah,
and there was no other way. Like, I had to be there, and I
yeah.
had to just accept it and be the best that I could be for him.
How did that so that was at the beginning of your build for Chicago. How were you able to carry that through the next 4 months or so of training, and what was going through your mind during that process? Like, was there ever a point where you're like, maybe it's just not for me to do this marathon build, maybe I should push my goal off and just focus on my family? And then obviously that's not what ended up being your outcome, and your son is in a beautiful position now. Like, I'm so curious to hear what was going through your mind through this process and how you were able to kind of keep moving forward every day.
I mean, like I said, I went through it, and I took it day by day. The recovery went spectacularly well, and we came home, and running has truly become a place where I can just let go. Like, if I want to scream, I'll
Yeah.
scream. If I want
Yeah.
to cry, I'll cry. If I want to question and doubt, that's my place. Outside of that, it's like, no, I have to be present. I have to be strong. I have to be a rock for my family and my kids.
Yeah.
And so working through that, like, I've always been an active person. Like, I do well with movement and activity, and it's a way of just handling stress, especially emotional, mental, physiologic. Like, all of these are just, it's a route for me to almost cope. And I hate to use that word because I know there's a stigma against, running is therapy, but I think there is some truth to that,
Absolutely.
as long as
Yeah.
you don't ignore, some red flags. And so it truly was what carried me through. It gave me a purpose every single morning where I woke up where it's like, I have this to get done. And I'm such a checkbox person that having those things on the calendar just makes me more able to show up. If
Yeah.
you give me no schedule, nothing, everything's in la la land, which I think is why motherhood is so hard,
Yeah.
because you never get any sort of congratulations, reassurance, applause. You get nothing. You're left thinking, like, what am I doing? Am I even making a difference? Like, you don't see any sort of growth or positivity of what you're doing into your children. So having that constant, like, positive feedback just helped me mentally, where it's like, I can control this,
Yeah.
and it helps to just increase your feel good hormones and your dopamine, and just helps you become a better, happier person, where you're able to show up for your family and your children even in the hardest of times. And so it literally was like a day by day. And then we just kept going, and I got injured, like
Yeah. You did.
halfway through the build. We went on a bike ride, and I was pulling our little toddler who was 2 in the back bike trailer, and we were going up like a hill for, I don't, it was like a mile and a half, like literally. We weren't out there long, but in thickened training, my muscles, my ligaments, they're all in recovery. And
Yep.
I tweaked something. I have like a very unstable SI joint on my left side, probably from all the pregnancies and
Yeah.
childbirth and things like that. And so, I never knew that. Like, I've always had issues like in my right piriformis and hip, but I usually am able to roll it out and stretch,
Yeah.
and I never have any like lingering issues. But so after this bike ride, tweaked my left SI, which then spasmed my piriformis, which then caused sciatica,
Of
which then
course,
I
right?
self-inflicted injuries in my lower leg, borderline compartment syndrome, because I was cupping, trying to release the,
Chucking.
you know, it was crazy. I was like, do I have shin splints? Do I have compartment
I
syndrome? Or is
know.
this
Oh my god.
completely normal? So
Yeah.
that, and that's when I was just like, all right, this is God's way of like telling me, maybe I just don't need to do this marathon, and that was like a really challenging time for me. I was in a very dark place. Like,
Yeah.
when you are showing up and like you've persevered through so much, so many challenges, it's like, I have showed up consistently for my son. I have pushed through all of this
Yeah.
turmoil to get to where I am. And this, like,
I
because I
know.
took my child on a bike ride,
I know.
and it was like for 7 weeks, every single run, I had pain. And
Yeah.
I mean, almost all my runs, I would have to stop, roll, stretch,
Yeah.
massage gun, like all of the things. I mean, I can't tell you how many conversations did I have with you, like,
Yeah.
just like, and what, like, and so through that, like, there were definite like questions on whether or not I was going to show up to Chicago. But I did see um professional like help, like I saw a doctor of physical therapy, and I saw a sports chiropractor, and they were right there through it all. I did not
Yeah.
go against any of their recommendations. We did the therapies that we needed to do, and I pivoted. Like, I
Yep.
definitely missed some runs. There was one long run that I couldn't do, and so instead I did a 2-hour indoor bike ride, which was painful.
Yeah.
I don't know how bikers do it, but so it was just like constantly, like, I was tried beyond everything, I felt like, in this build. And yet, like, I would see my son, we homeschool. So I'd see him like just showing up every day. Like, and he's not the most athletic child, but he, gosh darn it, will try his hardest. And like, when I saw him, and it was during this time of injury, um, it was like at the very at the Spartan race, when he just did all of those things, it was like, it just spoke to me like, Elizabeth, like, this pain is temporary, and like, you can use this for so much good. Like, there is a saying in the church, like, offering it up for the
Yeah.
souls, like offering it up for the good of others, offering up, like, learning how to suffer well.
Yeah.
And I truly felt that.
Mhm.
I was able to internalize it and use it for good. And that's what I did. And honestly, I feel like that's what carried me through the Chicago Marathon, because by golly, it was like I felt so strong through, I was mentally
Yeah.
there
Mhm.
throughout.
I mean, going through that with your son and watching him rise above, like, I can't even imagine, like, how inspiring that was to watch
Yes.
in your own boy that you birthed, you know? And
Yes.
then on top of that, like, to go through your own trials with injuries and to continue to persevere, which I wanna emphasize, like, I have a few flare-ups throughout my last, and we had talked about that, Elizabeth, and when there's a difference when you're meeting with a PT and they're telling you it's a non-weight bearing or a weight bearing injury, or if it's an intensity injury, which like my Achilles was like an intensity. You had to take down the intensity, but you can still do the mileage. It's
Yes.
very just like tricky, and that's why like the experts are great because not all injuries require 2 to 3 weeks off. And I think social media is like the worst when it comes to like somebody saying, "Oh, I have some pain," or "I have a flare up," and they're like crucify you because they're like, why is she running? Why is she still training? And it's like, are you a PT? Because if you're not, then I want you to zip your lip.
Mhm.
Because there's just some things that you can't actually train through. You just have to adjust some things or modify some things based upon what the injury is, right? And we saw that in you. You were very transparent. We saw you on the bike
I did.
multiple times.
Mhm.
We saw you pivoting in different cross training ways. We saw you take a step back, like you said, from that long run. And I think that's ultimately what led you to your start line and your finish line because you were very smart and diligent from the start to be able to make sure that you could figure out all the ins and outs of this injury before you got there. And I think that just speaks a lot of volumes of your maturity and your trust in your team surrounding you, you know? And what a mental toughness that gave you probably for 26.2 miles isn't just about the physical preparation. It is the mental. Like I could tell you more times our brain will give up before our physical stamina
100%.
will.
One
And you could be the fittest person, right? Like
Mhm.
you could be the fittest person on that start line, the best shape of your life, and you're ready for a massive PR. But if your mental stamina isn't there or your mental capacity isn't there, you're not showing up that day. Like it sucks, but like both need to be there. And like, wow, like way to take some very, very hard situations in your build and and turn it for, like you said, for the better, the greater good. And now it was mental training too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think also it's the emphasis on having a why. And I think for every, like, it doesn't have to be your children. If you are a mom and your why is because, you wanted to run a marathon for your personal goals, whatever
Yeah.
it may be, I think though, whatever your why is, I think yours was glaring on this one.
Yeah.
I don't think that you ever had to question, who you were seeing when and you know, like how many minutes you were counting down until you could call your family and tell your kids this. I think that your why was very, very apparent during it, and that's why it's so important to have a real true why of why are you doing this, because like 26.2 miles is a very, very long way to go, especially when you've had like things that are trying to set you back and you never let them. You were like, this is not a setback. This is something I'm dealing with and I'm going to keep going forward. Did it bother you during your race at all?
My leg.
Yeah.
None. Like
None?
all of a sudden it was like something switched. It was like 7 weeks after the injury. If you follow me on Instagram, I ran a Spartan race. So my husband was
Mhm.
training, like that was his big thing. He did his year of marathons last year. He swore them off. But now, so he's into Spartan race. So he did a world championships trifecta Spartan race where he raced like a 5K, 10K, then a half marathon all on different days. Well, we all went as a family to support him. And this was about 6 or 7 weeks before the marathon. And so I was like, I'm not running it. Like, I can't risk getting injured. And yeah, that didn't happen. I wasn't having any pain. It just kind of disappeared literally like 2 or 3 days before. And I'm
Crazy.
like, I mean, I just need to run it. Like, so
Yeah.
I just did the 10K and ended up having a blast. And so that to me, and I had no pain, none whatsoever. So that what to me solidified like, okay, I am ready to kind of ramp it up in my speed because there was like, I couldn't do much speed during those 7 weeks. I did do them, but I took it to the treadmill because I could control. So I only train outside really on my speed days and my long runs, hit or miss on my easy days, but I train on gravel trails. I don't train on asphalt. I don't train on pavement. It's gravel. Majority of it's inclined at a like 1 to 3% incline, and then the other majority is decline because you're
Mhm.
turning around and going back. And so, you know, speed work is a challenge for me, and so I just knew I needed to control as much controllables that I could. And so I did a lot of my speed on the treadmill during those 7 weeks. So that just after the Spartan race, it just solidified like, all right, we need to like start diving into speed and taking it back out to the trail. And, you know, everything just kind of fell into place.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's so great. Yeah.
I did want to ask you because you're obviously you're a full-time pediatrician. Is that the case, right? You're working
Yes.
pretty full time. Mom of 6. You have 30 acres. Like, I can't even control my 0.0008. Like I can't even imagine throwing animals. Like my dog feels like a lot. I have to run her sometimes 2 times a day. Like it's just I like my mind is just like blown that you have 6 kids. I understand what that's like because I got my 6 over here. But
Yes,
you
you do.
homeschool them. You work full time. You have all this acreage and you're just juggling between you and your spouse, like you both are working parents. I'm curious, like, how has that like impacted, like, how are you able to find the time in your day? And I'm sure you get this question a lot, but how are you able to show up? Like, this is your 4th marathon build in the last 2.5 years. Show up consistently and show up smart and continue to progress forward. Like, I'm so curious what your day looks like and how you're able to like put that training into your very busy schedule.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, full transparency, I just went back to work probably like 6 months ago. Worked back when I was in Portland, Oregon. So, back in 2017 to 2020, I worked part time. And then before that, after residency, I worked full time. Doing what I'm doing now, a nursery hospitalist. So I'm the pediatrician that comes around and sees you when your baby's delivered, and I get to do
So
the newborn
fun.
exam. But I'm also on call if there are any medical emergencies where the baby needs resuscitation. So
Oh,
typically, my day is depending on how busy our community hospital is, our nursery is. I usually have anywhere from like some days 0, but most days it's around like 2 or 3 babies. I've had as much as like I think 8. And I'll round on the babies, you know, see all the moms, make sure breastfeeding's going well, give all the anticipatory guidance, and then I'm able to come home because I live about 6 minutes away from the hospital. And
that's
so,
awesome.
with a lot of the nursery hospitalists, what the models that they have gone to is they have an on call pediatrician that basically, by law, you have to be to the hospital within 30 minutes. So as long as I'm within a 30-minute per like radius, I can pretty much do whatever I want. But I have to be, you know, at the drop of a hat. So you'll always see me carrying around my doctor bag, like with stethoscope and, you know, badge and resuscitative, like, you know, things and stuff like that. But so what I usually do if I am, you know, on call, I'll wake up. And so let me also back up. My husband's an ER doctor, so it's a lot of shift
So
work.
crazy.
So mine is shift work as well, the way that our hospital runs. And so basically we make our own schedule. I have to work X amount of hours a month. He has to work X amount of shifts a month. And so basically, like we just kind of when he works, I'm off. When I work, he's off. Did I say it
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you
So,
Yes.
did.
anyways, we flip and we flop. So
Yeah.
we always have one parent available with nothing else to do. Now when he works, he is literally works. Like he's not around for like the 9 or 10 hours, like it's solo, you know, and when he's on nights, he has to sleep during the day. Like those are the hard times that I feel struggling for me. But um so for the most part, when I wake up, like we'll do breakfast together, and then I do a lot of reels like this because I feel like it's so important to realize like we can do so much if we just methodically like plan for it and be intentional, right? So like,
Mhm.
I bake a lot of bread, but I use a bread machine. Like I used to do it like sourdough where you let it rise and it's like a 2-3 day process. Well, I
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. I'd love to, maybe one day. But like, so I make a quick loaf of bread while I'm making the kids breakfast, and then I lay out all the schoolwork. So I'm the main like primary teacher for my kids' school. I'll lay out all of their schoolwork for the day. And then I'll explain to my husband, this is what each child needs to do for the day. And for the most part, like my kids are just so regimented that this is what they do. They eat breakfast and we come and do school, and they know that they have to complete X amount of work, every single day. And so once I lay out all the information, then I leave and I go to the hospital and I round, and it usually takes me anywhere from like 1.5, 3 hours. And so I'm able to come back before lunch. And usually at that time, the kids are wired. A lot of them, most of them have already finished their schoolwork. And so we go downstairs where we have a little like basement gym with my treadmill. And usually if my husband's around, he'll either go run on the trail or I'll go run on the trail. Or a lot of times if it's like an easy run or something like that, I'll just run on the treadmill while my kids set up a computer and do a hit workout, like a high intensity interval hit workout together. And so they're doing something super active while I'm running, and usually my husband's like working out and stuff. So we make it a family affair. Like it is
That's
built
awesome.
in to our routine daily. The kids always ask, "Can we go do a workout now? Can we go to a work?" Like it is something that is just routine. So, usually depending on my runs, I will get my run in usually late morning. That is like my prime time because I don't have to get up early to fuel to do this. Now, there are days where I have to do that because we do a community day every Tuesday. And so a lot of times those are the days where my husband's working. So I do have to get up at like 4 a.m., get my run in, and then get all of the kids ready by myself, travel about an hour away to where community day is, where they sit in classroom all day. And then I'm not back with them till like after 4.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both worlds. But for the most part, on my day at work, after our workout that we'll do downstairs together, then we come up, we usually do lunch together, and then I am a huge proponent, no matter the age of your kids, if they're at home, I mean, or not, doing quiet nap time, because to me I feel like the kids need it, I need it more.
Yeah.
So usually around like 1 to 3 p.m. that's our quiet slash nap time. The younger kids will go down for a nap, our bigger kids will read, and they can do whatever they want to pretty much in their room. We do ask them to read at least for 30 minutes, but some of them will build Legos after that, some of them will draw or color, like, or build whatever. And so it kind of gives them that creative aspect and quiet, apart from the chaos, because our house is loud. Loud. I have five boys. So
Oh,
it is
that's right.
so loud. And during those 2 hours, usually, I will like read, lay in bed, and if I'm peak training, I'll take a nap. I'll take like a 20-minute, 30-minute nap. And then that kind of just breaks up the day to then tackle the afternoon, where we do extracurriculars, we do dinner, and then, we try to get to bed at a decent hour. So on days that I'm on call, like I could absolutely get called into the hospital. I field phone calls all day long, if the nurses have questions, but my husband's there. And so he's able to kind of take over if needed. But for the most part, it's pretty, the days for my children are the same. That was my one thing that I told my work when I decided to go back, is like, I just don't want this to disrupt my kids'
Yeah.
routine and our homeschooling.
Mhm.
And we've made it work. And so I think there's a way, no matter how crazy your mom life is, like there is a way. And I say this all the time, if you want it, you will find a way, right? And
Totally.
I want it, like I want it for me. I want this life for my kids. Like I want this marriage with my husband. Like I want
Yes.
it, and that's my why. They're not all the same. You have different compartments in life, but when they all come together, like you can find a way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Eh,
So it's very much like you and your husband partnership. And so it's nice that you have that support with your running and everything and that he's active as well. So your kids are seeing it from both parents and everything. Has it always been like that since you started running after your sixth, or was it something that everybody kind of had to get used to?
Well, I mean, even before I was running, I would walk a lot. I was a big walker during pregnancy, and then with breastfeeding, I'd get mastitis a lot, and so
Oh, yeah.
I really couldn't do anything jarring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we would walk, like we would we'd go outside, we do a lot of hikes. We were very active, we were a very active family, but we would also do a lot of like hit workouts together, like I would just google like a 20-minute hit workout, and then I'd get around with the kids and we just do something, just to get our bodies moving. And so, once I found running, it's just kind of that segue into, this is what I'm doing. You need to find something you want to do. And so, yeah, it's just a part of our daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like, okay, so I'm gonna drop the news that you ran your 3:05, which for anybody that knows the marathon distance and hears that number, they're like, in 2.5 years, she ran a 3:05 and she's a new runner. Like, my mind is blown. But you talked about your history with collegiate sport and how you kind of deferred that and you went into like the medical side and things like that. So how long did you play soccer for? And do you feel like there were, like, you talked about hit workouts, you talked about movement still through your childbearing years, even when you were a runner. Do you feel like those things with your sport growing up and that kind of impacted your, I guess, your fitness baseline to help you to thrive as a new runner? I'm curious to hear more about that background and what you've been able to see through that all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think team sports specifically are so beneficial for children because it not only teaches them to be active and stay active and learn the healthy habits of exercise and activity, but it also teaches you like what it means to show up, not for yourself, but for others, right? You have the whole team building and the accountability. And so I'm a huge proponent of putting your kids into team sports. And so I started playing sports really probably like since I was 3 or
Yeah.
4 or 5. I mean, I don't even know. I've played sports for as long as I can remember. I was extremely active. I played all kinds of sports. I swam. I played t-ball. I played instructional. I played softball. I played volleyball. I played tennis. I goodness, soccer obviously, basketball. I mean, I played it all. It was around the ninth grade, I made varsity soccer. And so that was a
That's
huge deal.
awesome. In freshman year?
And yes. And so
Impressive.
I had a coach. He was my coach for high school, but he was also my coach for my traveling league. So I literally had him for 3 seasons a year, and he did not want me to play any other sport. I actually went out and tried out for the volleyball because volleyball kind of you could pocket it in between two of the soccer seasons. They would slightly overlap, but really like it wasn't that big of a deal. He was livid. He like went to my mom behind my back and said, Elizabeth shouldn't be playing other sports. She needs to be playing soccer. And so I was on a competitive traveling soccer team, and it's competitive. I'm from
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Florida. Like we live in a
Yeah,
huge
Florida's,
city.
yeah.
Yes, like it was competitive. And so we ended up getting like second nationals like one year in Washington D.C. I mean, we were good.
Yeah.
And so with that on top of soccer, I ended up at the end of ninth grade being diagnosed with spondylolysis. And I haven't really shared this on Instagram, which I feel like I probably should, because
Yeah.
I had a huge setback in ninth grade. Like, I was on like trajectory to like be a really good, I was a starter. I played forward. But then I got injured where basically your vertebrae sits like this. And so the outs you have like two little like horns right here, called the pars interarticularis. And so I basically fractured my L5 in both of those areas and needed to take off, I don't even remember, like months
That's
from soccer.
crazy.
Couldn't couldn't do anything. So I was biking and I had to go to all the soccer games, sit on the sideline,
That's so
you know.
hard.
Yes, it was. And it just so like so we got through that and I came back strong. Um and so then you reach the years of, teenage years where you have a car and you have boyfriends, all the things. Like, you want to get out and you don't want to be held down. And so you can imagine, like, literally, I played soccer year round. If I didn't play in the spring, the winter at high school, or the fall, I'm playing over the summer because we're gearing up for the year. I played soccer year round. And I like kind of butt heads with my coach. He
Yeah.
was just gung ho, and I'm just like, I love soccer so much, but it's like it was not my life and I didn't want it to be my life. Like, I was a very good student.
Mhm.
I was very active with friends, like there was much more to me, and I never truly identified as like I'm a soccer player. Like, it was something I was like good at, but I enjoyed, but it wasn't who I was. And
That's cool.
there was just a lot of toxicity
Yeah.
in that environment. And
That's
I'm a very like, kind of person that I internalize, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. And we ended up getting a new coach, I want to say for my 11th and 12th grade year, I don't remember. But and I was just like, by the end of 11th grade, definitely in 12th grade, I was just so over it.
yeah.
We were looking into going to colleges and things like that. I had gone to a summer camp at our local university, and they had kind of, the head coach had kind of talked to me about like getting a scholarship. And honestly, I was just like, no, like, it's not something I want to pursue. And I didn't. And I ended up going to the University of Florida in Gainesville, and I played some intramurals during that time. I played soccer, and kept active. Like, I'd go to the gym, but it was more for weight loss, right? Like, that
Mhm.
was the era of,
Yeah.
the skinny, low cut jeans and your
Yeah.
tummy hanging out. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like the and so yeah, I'd run like 3 miles on the treadmill here and there. Have no idea. I look back and I'm like, what was my pace then? I wonder,
I
like,
know.
you know,
Yeah.
like, I wonder, like, how good what was my heart rate? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't have any of that. Like, I would just run like on the treadmill for like a certain amount of miles and then be done. And it was very sporadic, and it was like, who the heck knows? But then when I went to medical school, we did a lot of intramurals there. We did the basketball, we did flag football and soccer. And so, like, I've always been in sports and I've always been active, but I didn't run my first 5K until 2023. And it was shortly after that I ran my first 10K. And then at the end of 2023, I ran my first half marathon, and I was like, I want more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my good friend was like, well, we have a friend here who is a coach. She runs marathons and ultra marathons. I was like, hook me up. And so I
Yeah.
literally was on the phone with her like that weekend, hired her, and was like, in 3 months' time, I want to run a marathon. And not
That's so
only run a
cool.
marathon, I want to Boston qualify. And she was like, well, like, we'll see. We'll see. I'm like, no, like, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
And so she trained me, and I went out last year, was my first marathon in February, and I BQ'd. And that just like started this whole shenanigans of where I'm at right now.
And the rest was history.
And the rest is history.
That's so
Yes.
crazy.
It's just so cool to like just hear like you truly have been mentally prepared for this moment in your life. Like I mean I resonate so hard with you with, the injury in ninth grade because I had a medical issue in ninth grade, and having to take that step back and then realizing like there's so much more to life, and kind of going through the teenage years, the dating, the boy crushes, and
Yes.
you're just like, running's great, but it's like here and the boys are
Yeah.
up here. And having the coach that like saw so much potential in you, but you're just like, yeah, it's running, you know? And I just love that. Like, I love that you had so much that was like almost leading you back, like into this sport at this point in your life. And, you know, through your childbearing years and like gaining a sense of identity and mental toughness through that. And I don't know. I just think it's so rad that you picked up marathon training a year ago and you Boston qualified. And here you are as a 305 now, four marathons in. And I hope that like moms that are listening, whether they're even like in the ballpark of your paces or not, like the fact that you went for your first marathon, you were like, no, I want to do this in 3 months. I feel prepared. And you have a history of movement. Like, it's not like you were just, you know, picking up movement for the first time. Like, you have been a competitive athlete your whole life. And I think that really truly does carry into other sports. But I love that you're able to just show that to other moms that like, hey, you can believe in yourself, even post kids. Like, you can pick up
Yes.
something
Yes.
new.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also because if anybody follows you or knows your story that you started after your sixth baby, um, and to help you with postpartum depression, that I think it's such a good message that you don't have to just ease into something it just because that would be the safe option or it's like the less scary option, but you went out there and you were like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it 100%. Like, I'm going to try to Boston qualify, and that it's okay to set big goals, that just because you have a certain amount of children, that those goals aren't that crazy to say out loud. Like, once you have one, whether it's 1, 6, 7, like, you're okay to still have those goals, and your children are not going to take away from that. Like, your children don't want to be the thing that takes you away from that. And I think that's so important that this all happened after your sixth baby. Like, that's what's so interesting about it too, is that this wasn't like something where you're like working on it the whole time and you're like, I think that now is the time I want to Boston qualify. It's like I am in the throes of postpartum like over and over and over again. And you're like, I think I'm gonna Boston qualify. Like, and
A glutton for punishment.
yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's like this permission that I think so many people are afraid of, and it's why I want to point out also, like, that you have someone that is also actively supporting you and stuff, that you have to take
Yes.
the family on the journey with you, like, and not literally every time, like, I didn't have my children at the finish line, but like, that you have to bring people along on the journey with you, because otherwise it's not going to happen. You have to speak it out loud, and that sometimes just saying these things out loud are the things that are finally going to have you have your head above water. Because like, when you have like a 1-year-old or something, you can feel like you're drowning even though you're not freshly postpartum, and that's okay. Just like having something there that can finally pull you out of feeling like you're just underwater or
And then
something.
also too, I want to say is like, if your child was in this situation, would you ever deter him or her from pursuing big scary goals? It's like,
Mhm.
no. And so we are being the example for our children. Our children see us day in and day out. They know when mommy's not in a good mood. They know when mommy doesn't feel good. They know when mommy is just tired and wants to go back to bed, but she chooses not to. She chooses to keep showing up for herself over and over again, and your kids see that and they learn it and they become that. And I think
Mhm.
that is the important part, that we are their example. They emulate what they see, and so when they see us doing this for ourselves, they learn it's okay for them to do it for them, that they're worth it. And so I think that to me, when I think of it like that, heck yeah, I'll show up every day for myself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's so true.
I agree. Like I have a son who's very, very type A with his schooling, and everything like schooling for him, education comes very, very natural for him. He will pick something up quick and he's just A plus plus above average all the time. And we were working on one of his tests, like pre-test the other day, so he could prepare for his test. And he was getting so frustrated that he couldn't just get it right away. And I was like, wow, this is a first for him. Like, he's never had to work so hard for this test. And I kind of laughed to myself because I was like, this is so good for him. But he's frustrated because he's like, why am I having to work so hard? I never have to work this hard. And I sat there and I was like, Helen, I was like, do you think that things come easy to me? I was like, do you think that like my marathon training comes easy for me? Like, that distance is not like, it's not my natural distance. I'm more of a mid distance runner, and that distance takes so much practice. And he's like, well, doesn't it make you frustrated? And I was like, sometimes, but what are we going to do when we have a weakness? How do we make it stronger? We have to practice. And it was one of those moments that just like it hit me. And I was like, my kids literally, they're seeing that because when we are going out there, we're training, we're having to do the sucky workouts, or we're coming back from a bad race and we pick ourselves back up and we keep going forward and we move forward with it. We take the lessons that we got from that day and we keep going forward. It's training them that it's okay to also mess up, and it's okay to not be good at everything, to give it a shot, and that it's okay to practice and practice and practice at something that we're not good at. And that, like, you don't have to be good at something for it to be your focus in life. Like, some things, if you have a passion for something, you can go out there and become good at it over time. Like, I don't know. It's been a really interesting concept to have older kids that now are visually seeing you do that as a parent. And I think that plays such a bigger impact for me personally for my kids than just me telling them, go and try. You just got to go and try versus like they see it. They see you doing what you are teaching them.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It's true. I think because we talk so much about how we want to be as parents. And I think the ideas are so easy to say. And like, I always want to make sure that my daughter hears me speaking positively about my body. And I want to make sure. But like, I think running has given me such a good platform to actually live that. Like, I don't, like, I mean, I keep joking about how bloated I was during the marathon. But, like, she's gonna experience feeling bloat too,
Yes.
and it's such a temporary feeling, and just that, like, she's never gonna hear Olivia 10 years ago who,
No.
like, just punished my body for its mere existence, you know? And, like, running has facilitated so many parts of that, and even as a wife, like, I'm married to someone who is extremely athletic and will not
Yeah.
use it, and just if I just keep putting my head down and going out there and doing it and having it be this non-negotiable that he is allowed to do the exact same thing. Like, just because you're a parent doesn't mean you have to be punished and be not be allowed to have a hobby. Like, and running gives us such a great platform once we finally see it as that instead of just like a tool for weight loss or a tool for
Yeah.
another medal or something that we can post about or something, it is a tool for so many different aspects. Like, it makes me a better friend, it makes me a better mom, it makes me a better wife in so many ways, and yeah, I think it's like this was my first time with a race that I was able to explain it to my son a little bit, but mostly
Yeah.
because he's like guilt tripping me a lot about leaving him. I'm like, you saw me every day working. Like, I was allowed
Yeah.
to leave. I was allowed to do that.
Yes.
And, but it's like the first time, and I was like, this is so interesting because it's as they get older, it will only become easier to communicate that,
Yeah.
So that's super interesting. And like for you with your son, Elizabeth, like for you, you're probably able to share this whole experience with him and, say like your strength made me finish. Like,
Yeah.
and for him to understand that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Well, is there anything you want to leave for the audience? I feel like we need you for like a round 3 because I'm like, there's
I
still so
know.
many questions.
I
I
know.
know we have pickups here in a minute,
Yeah.
but is there anything you want to leave with like these moms that are listening to you? And I don't know, any piece of advice or insights or encouragement?
I would just say, it's never too late. I'm 40 years old, like 40. Okay, guys? I'm not a spring
Go
chicken.
watch this
Um,
YouTube video because she is not like 40.
Yeah,
I'm
she's
like,
not.
or that she has 6 kids,
Yeah.
but okay.
um, like it is never too late and you are worth it. Like, give yourself a chance. Break out of this stigma of what motherhood should be like, because it's not. That is false, and it's lies. Like, we are capable of so much and deserve so much good. That's what I have to say.
I love that.
Short and sweet. It's
Yeah.
so true. So true.
Yes.
So
Well, thanks so much for coming on here and joining us. It's always so great to just talk to other moms and just see how they juggle it, especially with different like experiences and different seasons that you're going through. And I just hope that anybody that's going through, especially a hardship like that you had to endure with injury and your son, that they gain courage from this to know that like no marathon build or no big race build has to look perfect, and that sometimes you can pivot enough to still get there healthily to the start line. So I just appreciate you being so vulnerable and so open with that. And we're so stoked. I can't wait to hear what's next on your radar. So you better let us all know. We'll have to reshare if you when you do
You'll
decide.
be the first to know.
Yeah, I will hold you to that.
Yes.
But thank you so much, everybody. As you know, this is a new platform, so if you can just rate, subscribe, share this episode with other people. It also helps these other moms. Where can they find you, Elizabeth, on social media?
So my handle is mommer_do_run. So mommer_do_run.
Awesome. Yeah. And you can go and follow her there. You can see what's next on her radar, because I'm sure she'll probably announce that, and just continue to watch her, because I'm sure we'll be seeing a sub 3 pretty soon. So. But thanks, everybody. I know.
thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.